So we have a movie that was written by Larry Cohen and distributed by Troma and Lloyd Kaufman. And it stars Tom Atkins and Bruce Campbell. I think we finally found the most B horror film of all time. I think when we reviewed this on our old channel like 6 or 7 years ago, I think I even made the exact same joke then, but screw it. New audience, they don't know my old gags. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
This is Jump Scare Reviews, in which all month long for Thorgiween, we are reviewing horror films. And this film has always been one of my standby go-to staples. Not because I love it, not because I think it's great, but it is always one of those films that's like, what do I want to watch? Yeah, fucking Maniac Cop. No, it's one of those where it's it kind of can just go on at any time. Like
as background noise?
It is not, because it's never one of those films where it's like, oh, I gotta get the popcorn and sit down for this thing. But it's also not one of those just go on, just do the thing. It's a film that has a good enough premise, and it executes fine, and it's entertaining enough. It is definitely one of those, it's almost B-movie comfort food to me.
Yes.
It's one of those you know what, just give me old reliable Maniac Cop. Here you go. You've definitely seen this before. Like I said, I think we reviewed this before, but I don't think that you remember.
I don't remember.
You don't remember it, yeah.
Yeah.
I might have it might have been one of those, because I remember back on our old channel when we did this, a lot of the times I would just be reviewing something and telling you about it. So maybe you actually had not seen this. But yeah, let's give you the basic premise of this film. Set in 1980s New York, is about a series of murders begin to happen, all being committed by a police officer. And you never see this guy's face, so you never know who he is. He is always kept in shadows.
And he doesn't talk.
Never talks. He has a massive jawline. So wouldn't you know it, Bruce Campbell is a cop in this film too. So everybody's like, who's a big chin? I can't remember the exact phrase that Bruce Campbell always uses to describe himself. I think he always refers to himself as a big chin schlub. But it just occurred to me, it's that is some old timey slang. I don't know if that term is still appropriate these days. If it's not, my apologies.
I don't know if it's not appropriate, but I haven't heard that in a long time.
It is an old term and phrase, but Bruce Campbell is an old school guy. But yeah, Bruce Campbell will be the first guy to tell you, he's yeah, I got a massive chin. I know it. But yeah, that's brilliant casting, that they made sure to get somebody to be the killer who has a massive jawline. And they're all right, we need somebody that we can make you think is the killer. Bruce Campbell, get on in here, everybody. Da, 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 da.
Spoiler alert, it's actually Jay Leno who's the killer.
Of many people's careers.
Oh.
Yeah. So I came to that weird realization recently that Jay Leno went out of his way to get Conan kicked off the air again. And it occurred to me, man, millennials and Gen Z really like Conan O'Brien. Does anyone under the age of 30 know who the fuck Jay Leno is? That dude was the king of late night television for so many years, but he was a dick. So guess what? The moment you're off the air, nobody cares. Yeah. That's just a little lesson for life, everybody. So, anywho, this film, it's the police are investigating who is this mysterious cop who's killing people, and it causes paranoia to start spraying around the entire city, in which everybody's starting to look at cops and be I'm gonna cross the street if I see a police officer.
I don't trust police officers anymore.
And this film, it's so weird because it feels all right, I don't know if you realize the message you're making. Because there's a moment on there in which they're showing a series of interviews on television, and you see people saying if I see a cop now, I cross the street. I can't trust these police officers in here anymore. But they're trying to frame it oh, it didn't used to be this way. The police used to be so good, and this one bad officer is ruining things for everyone. But then they have a black guy on there, and he's just yeah, I know. Yeah, I can't remember the exact thing, but he said, but it was basically kind of oh, I've had some friends who they'll tell you, yeah. they have like this very brief message in there, like, "Oh, I'm sorry, white people. Did you always think the police were on your side? Oh, I'm sorry about that. Oh, okay. Oh, guess what? There's a whole other group of people over here who've had a very different experience with this situation." But that's the only time that they really bring that up.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know if you, because, I mean, listen, the premise is that there's a maniac cop out there. You have to actively try to not put a message in your film at that point. Like, you have to be like limboing underneath that message in order to avoid hitting it. And yet this film still feels like it's trying to. Like, it's still trying to depict, like, no, all the cops are good and they just want, like, it's just this one bad one in there. But then every now and again, you get a little bit of a hint of, like, I think you realize the message you could be making in this. I don't know if you actually...
I don't know if you actually are trying to make that message.
Was it more... Yeah.
Was it intentional or was it an accident?
Was it more of like, yeah, we'll just put in there one line about it. We'll just acknowledge it for one brief moment. But that's not what this film is about. Or was that what this film is about? And the fact that everybody thinks the police were always good, is that the message? I was like, no, there was, there's always the maniac cop out there. It's an interesting film to try and dissect.
Yes.
But
especially nowadays.
Yeah. It was never not the days. It was, again, it's kind of like this film. It's like, yeah, it's...
Well, I guess I guess it's more obvious these days.
Everybody has cameras now. Everybody can report on their own personal experiences, so everybody is able to make their messages heard more often, which is definitely a good thing. But as this film goes on, Tom Atkins is our protagonist. Wink! I'll get into that in a moment. Tom Atkins is the guy who we're following throughout all of this. And he is the old experienced detective. And he's the one who's investigating, trying to find out the mystery of like who this cop is, where they came from. And one thing they do kind of interesting, and I'll go ahead and kind of spoil it right now. They're trying to make it seem like it might be somebody you know. It's not somebody you know. It's a boogeyman. It is the Jason Voorhees of cops is what this is.
I was like, think about making a joke about like how Jason Voorhees like got a job as a cop during the off season.
Well, apparently Camp Crystal Lake is connected to Manhattan, so he can just walk over there. We'll get to that movie eventually. God damn, that's so stupid. That to this day just makes... This isn't even this film that we're talking about at this point. Surprise, this was a Backdoor Friday the 13th Part 8 review. Yeah, that always to me is like, so you guys could always just swim out into the Hudson? All right, whatever. So, anywho, but yeah, so Tom Atkins is investigating the whole situation, and Bruce Campbell is the young detective who he is having some marital problems. And his wife thinks, okay, we're trying to work this out. We've been going to therapy, but I'm concerned with that cop out there. And my husband, he's a detective. He has to go out there. But what if he ends up running into this maniac cop out there? So she one night follows him and discovers it's like, oh, no. He's not like... The movie is also, again, they're trying to make you think Bruce Campbell is the maniac cop because... It's Bruce Campbell. We see him being kind of a dick to his wife, and he's got a massive chin, which matches the silhouette. Like, they are trying to make you think that he is. So there comes that moment when she, like, follows him to a hotel. She sneaks inside of there, and they're trying to set up, like, oh, what's she about to find? He's not the maniac cop. He's just been cheating on her.
Yeah.
With another officer.
Yeah. It's bad. Not as bad as killing people, but it still like, does not paint him as like a good guy.
He's not great. Yeah, it's like, oh man.
He's like the lesser of the two evils. Like,
yeah, it's one of those in which it's like, okay, I can still be on your side. Mm-hmm. But you got problems. Like, this was not great.
You get the not as much of a jerk as you could have been award.
Yeah. I mean, Bruce Campbell always plays the guy who's kind of a jerk, but also, like, you root for him.
Yeah.
He's very good at that. But then that night, as she is storming out of the hotel, she gets attacked by the maniac cop and killed. So then the police the next morning are like, hold up. Where were you at this time? And where were you when all those other murders were being committed? So they end up locking him up. Which the thing about this is they try and set it up like the Maniac Cop knows somebody inside the police force, so they purposely orchestrated all of this to set up Bruce Campbell so he could take the fall for him. And all I could think was, the Maniac Cop is not capable of going more than like 12 hours without murdering someone. This whole scenario does not pan out like he is going to be in his cell for like half a day before they're like, all right, guess what? Somebody else will just kill you out. Yeah,
no, they're gonna think like, oh, it's a copycat killer or something like that, or
maybe, I don't know. But yeah, it was definitely one of those in which I was like, I don't think this works out that much.
Yeah.
Plus, this film, I love Larry Cohen, but Larry Cohen I love because that dude worked. That dude was like, I'm gonna pump out these films. I do not care. They get made, and I respect that, honestly. But sometimes the scripts have some problems to them. And there's like a moment in here in which they're right before, the reason why the wife left to follow Bruce Campbell is she got a phone call that was like, is he out again? You should follow him. And then just hangs up, and she has no idea who it is. And there's a moment in which they go, yeah, your wife followed you because she got a phone call about you. And all I could think was, how do you know that? Who told you that she got a phone call about her husband? I mean, you could look up the phone records and see that she received a phone call earlier that night, but how do you know what that was about? Yeah, there's a couple moments like that here.
Yeah, there's definitely like a few plot holes and stuff.
I don't even like the term plot hole, but there's definitely a few moments in here in which they're like, listen, man, this movie has to come out. We are going to get this thing made. But I will say, for a Larry Cohen film, this definitely has a higher budget than, which granted, excuse me, that came out of nowhere. Granted, he just wrote the film. He didn't direct the film. But the director was like some complete unknown. And I'm honestly shocked that this thing has the production budget that it does. Because, yeah, they're getting shots of like parades in there, which maybe those were like public domain stock images. Because they definitely didn't close an entire street in New York to film for this thing. I can't believe that. But yeah, there's some stunts in here that are kind of impressive for this level of a movie. And so yeah, I keep looking at this like, this is not what I would expect from a Larry Cohen film. Granted, again, he just wrote it, but the guy who directed it had done even less stuff up until this point. Yeah, he's a guy who's known for being like kind of cheap and getting stuff out there. But then again, this was around the time in which he was doing like Q the Winged Serpent and the stuff. So he was definitely getting a little bit more of a budget this time. This was Larry Cohen like reaching a little bit further than he did in the rest of his career, I think. Unless he made like some big film that I'm just completely forgetting about. And yeah, there is something about the Larry Cohen charm. Because he was a guy who, kind of like we were talking about with Toby Hooper the other day, he was a guy who had a very real world point of view. Like, he was a street level horror guy. He was a guy who was all about like, all right, I'm going to set the monsters on the streets themselves. I'm going to set it like in the back alleys that we walk past all the time. It's going to be in, the establishments that we know. The heroes are not going to be the heroes that you normally think of, like we were just talking about, like Bruce Campbell in here.
Yeah, like even in the opening scene, like it starts up with a woman getting mugged and she goes to the police and surprise, that's the Maniac Cop.
Yeah, like they were definitely trying to set up early on in here is like, okay, those things that you think you can trust and you can go to for comfort and support, like, nope, that is not what this is. Yeah, Larry Cohen had a very interesting point of view on how he made his horror films. And it's not as distinct as Tobe Hooper's was, which I keep bringing up because we talked about Tobe Hooper film the other day. But I still definitely respect that this is a guy who did not want things to be done the normal way. Mm-hmm. This guy never just like, this is a guy who pumped out film after film after film, and he was a guy who's like, okay, this thing just has to get made. But he was never a guy that's like, all right, I'll just do this for the check. Like, he always had ideas. Mm-hmm. I definitely respect that. But I will say, as this film goes on, I did come to like Bruce Campbell in it, but again, I will admit I'm biased because it's Bruce Campbell, and I'm a huge Evil Dead fan. Tom Atkins, I actually think is really charming. The person who I like the most, though, is the person whose name I can't remember. Lauren Landon, I believe that was. But yeah, she played Theresa, who was the woman who Bruce Campbell's character was dating. She gets stuff done in this film. She is also an undercover cop, and there's moments in which Bruce Campbell can't go in and do anything because he's wanted by the police. So you see her having to like take matters into her own hand and go in there and confront all the other police officers. And I definitely think that they're trying to like make some kind of a message in here about like sexism within the police as well. Again, it's not a huge message they're making, but it's just enough of like a wink and a nod. Like, yeah, you know, this is a thing that's going on. So yeah, it's such an interesting film. Because again, it's one of those movies in which it feels like you want to lean into something, but you never lean into it that hard. But even with you kind of missing a lot of the opportunities in here that you could have had to make some kind of a message, it's still an entertaining movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not one of those films that I'm just like, oh, I can recite this line for line. But it is entertaining. The way that they shoot the Maniac Cop is great, I think. Tom Atkins, like I said, very likable in here. There are good set pieces, too. Like, there's moments in which the Maniac Cop is attacking, like, not a person, but, like, an entire facility. And, yeah, it's great. It's one of those classic, like, it's almost like a home invasion moment then, but they're not in someone's house. They're, like, in a police station, which is not a place where you would expect to see a sequence like this happen. Also, I think that they do a great job of, like, balancing, like, the action element in here. The entire final sequence in here is a big car chase sequence. And man, I forgot how good the Maniac Cop theme was. You even like point out to me like this thing slaps. I think was your exact phrase. Yeah, it is not as memorable as like, you know, like Freddy's theme or like Jason's theme or like Michael Myers' theme. But it's an earworm. You'll hear that and you'll remember it.
It's got those 80s synths going on.
It's got a lot of the 80s synths. But also like it's a really good combination of like action movie music and horror movie music. Like it blends the two very well because yeah, it's during a chase sequence and they're driving all over the place recklessly. So it's got that fast little beat in there, like do 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 do, like just getting you all amped up. Like oh, here we go, things are ramping up. But then you'll get like that like violin or like that little like screeching sound that you get in like all the horror stuff from back then. It's really impressive. I really dug it. What do you have to say about this?
I think these were my exact words when I told you. Like, it's a fun little romp.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, it's horror movie comfort food.
Yeah.
It's not one that requires you to think too much, but doesn't treat you like you're dumb. It's one that requires you to pay attention, but you can also be like, I know what's going on here. Like you can kind of just like chill. You don't have to think about it too hard, as I just said. The monster in here is monster,
quote unquote.
The villain in here is memorable. Not as memorable as your Jasons or your Freddys, but you know what? Like I said, it's comfort food. It's one of those that's like I just want to see something with a slasher in there that I can just enjoy. And this one, it's fun. It is a fun film. It never gets, like, huge at any moment.
No.
Well, honestly, the ending, I think, is kind of fun. The ending, I do think, is kind of fun.
But like you said, it's a very down-to-earth, like, street level.
I really dig that, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's hard to set a slasher film in New York. Ask Scream about that. I feel like that last Scream film. But yeah, like, it's rare that you can actually make a slasher film in New York because there's people everywhere. Like, I don't care what politicians try to convince you of, New York is actually insanely safe because, yeah, there's people everywhere. You can't go around being... Jason Voorhees could not actually walk around Manhattan. Dude would get tackled to the ground real quick. But I think they found a good way of doing that. Like, it's genuinely impressive how they were able to set up a slasher in the most densely populated city in America. They make the alleyways seem like really creepy. They make the night feel very unsafe. Like I said, they have like a home invasion moment in there, but you know, it's New York. There aren't homes. So they did it within like the police officer building, and yeah, it still works incredibly well. It's just this film never really goes above and beyond any of that. It's just fun. And I feel like that's kind of what we were saying about the film yesterday, except for that one I had more to say about like the subtlety and the setup for everything. This one, there's no real subtlety or setup or anything. No. Like, it's just kind of right there in your face.
Yeah.
But I still like it. I still really enjoy it. I'm going to give this a B.
I think so too. Maybe a B plus because I did like it.
Yeah. Like it is definitely like, again, it's one of those things that's like, it's just like right here the entire time. Like,
like the music and Bruce Campbell and like that final scene, like it does definitely bumps it up more for me. So.
Yeah, it's that final, it goes out on a very good note. It does end a little too soon though. This thing was like, okay, we got this scene, we got this location for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Everybody get in makeup, get in the car, move around, chop people. Like it's rare that you can look at a moment in a movie and go, that's probably the last day that they filmed. But yeah, this was definitely a we gotta get the fuck out of here now moment. The actual cops are coming in here and telling us that we have to move along now. Yeah, it ends a little bit too abruptly. I will say that for like this, if there is one movie that needed a follow-up scene, this one's it. But I do dig this film. I just wish that it realized it's got the easiest layup in the world. I'm not even saying like all horror films have to make messages.
Yeah.
Although I'm also one of those believers who thinks that like everything is political if you look at it close enough. But I'm not saying that every film has to go out of its way to try and make messages. This one, you got it in the palm of your hand, and I feel like you could have like done a little bit more with that. But at the same time, that's not the kind of film that it wants to be, and I kind of understand that. Because when you watch the rest of this film and you see the tone that's going for, you see like the level of like action and humor and, well, actually there's not even a ton of humor in here, but like the action and the level of horror that's going for in here, you know what they're going for. This film is trying to be that movie that you see in other horror movies that they're watching on a screen. And it does that. And it does it well. And honestly, sometimes there's nothing wrong with that. Wow, for once, I'm running out of things to say about a horror film. But that's kind of what this is. It is the turn your brain off horror film, I honestly believe. But there's nothing
But not in a bad way.
Yeah, it's honestly, that's a good thing in this instance. Let's go ahead and go into the spoiler section in here. So this is one thing that I do have to really give the film, and unfortunately I couldn't say anything about it because it's in the spoiler section. They set up Tom Atkins to be the hero of the whole film. Like, we see him before Bruce Campbell. He's the one who is deeply involved in this case. Bruce Campbell feels like the guy Tom Atkins has to save. Mm-hmm. Tom Atkins dies halfway through it, and then, like, guess what? Bruce Campbell is the star now. That takes guts. I honestly was impressed that they decided to do that. I thought that was great. And then after that sequence, this is when events started like get jumbled in my mind, but they're trying to figure out what happened with the Maniac Cop. Who is this person? And they begin to discover it was this guy named Matt Cordell, who we had never heard about up until this point in the movie. But this isn't like the first Friday the 13th where at the end of the film, they're just like, oh, fuck, man, we got to come up with some kind of a cliffhanger. No. We're still like halfway through the movie. So I was like, all right, you can introduce new plot points here. But they go to the prison, and Matt Cordell was a stand-up police officer, but they also say he shot first and asked questions later. Yeah. And they say he got sent to prison because they say he was violating people's rights. And this is when I do think that the film is trying to make messages. It does, again, it feels kind of confusing about what the messages that they want to make, because all the other officers are trying to say like, yeah, but he was a great guy. He was a super cop. Everybody loved this guy, but oh, they threw him in jail. What? Because criminals have more rights than us? And it's one of those things where you're watching it and you have to be like, okay, film.
Like, I feel like they wanted to send a message, but they didn't want to be too controversial.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know, because it's one of those things where you watch it and you're like, okay, Phil, are you trying to make us, the audience, look at the guys saying that and be like, oh, you're an asshole? Or are you, the film, actually saying that? Wow, the cars outside are mad about this. Because normally, in a movie that's doing something like this, having somebody say something like that on film, on screen, of like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter if the cops shoot these guys, they don't have any rights, they don't deserve to go to trial or anything like that. Normally, if you have a film where someone's saying that, you obviously know they're the bad guy. This film still keeps talking about how much everyone loved Matt Cordell, and it's making me wonder, like, I can't fully tell where you stand on this. Knowing Larry Cohen, though, I'd be shocked if he was, like, on Matt's side. But yeah, it's one of those that makes me kind of, like, think a little bit, like, I want to see more about the behind the scenes on this. Like, somebody outside is disagreeing with us.
Like, I think maybe it's, like, more of a bias kind of thing. Because, like, you know, people have different opinions on others, like, based on, like, how they've been act around them and stuff.
Oh, you think it's one of those films where everybody's going to take a different feeling away from it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. It's definitely that. Because, yeah, when I was listening to that guy saying the thing about, like, what, oh, criminals have more rights than us or something like that, I was like, wow, that guy is an asshole. But then they turn right back around and be like, man, everybody loved Matt Cordell. I was like, I can't fully read you, movie. That's one of my few problems in here.
Yeah.
Like, because we never get to see what Matt did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing that, to me, I needed to get a little bit more of that. Because I keep talking about how, like, I wish that this film was willing to make a little bit more of a message. I think the thing that would have, like, firmly cemented, here is what the movie is trying to say. They say, like, oh, Matt was a shoot first, ask questions later kind of guy. And it's like, yeah, we realize why that's bad for a police officer to be that way. But I'm trying to see, like, okay, does the movie realize that? I need to see what was the exact thing that you got sent to jail for.
Yeah.
What was the thing? Like, they just say, like, oh, he was violating rights. Okay, well, that could mean 1,000 things.
Yeah.
We need to see the thing that he did that would make us, the audience, go, oh, he's bad. Okay, I need to see that, because we, as the audience, cannot tell whether or not this movie wants us to say, like, oh, poor Matt, he didn't do anything wrong and it was the system that was biased against him. Or is the audience supposed to say, thank God the system finally caught up to that asshole? Yeah, and because we never know what Matt did, it does raise that question of, like, okay, I need to see that moment. I need to see, why did he go to jail? Maybe it was in one of the, like, clippings. Because they're looking through, like, newspaper articles.
Yeah, but, like, it was going by so fast that it didn't,
exactly.
like, we might have to, like, go back and, like, pause at those parts.
It might be one of those moments where it's like, okay, I need to see like, maybe you did show it, but was a blink and you miss it moment. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't show what he did, but they show what happened to him in the prison. Like, basically, he goes to the same prison where he arrested all the other bad guys, and they want a revenge, so they, like, basically, like, slashed him up and everything.
They slashed him up in the shower.
Yeah.
And they declared him dead, but then it was discovered that, no, he is not dead. He's barely alive, but they knew that if they sent him back into the prison, they would finish the job. So they declared him dead and then released him to the woman that he was dating, who is a woman that was working within the police office. And
I thought it was his wife or something.
No, I think they were still just dating.
Okay.
They might have been engaged.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
that sounds right.
All right. But yeah, released him back into her custody. And all I could think was, okay, so it is established that he is, like, superhumanly strong. And that's partly because the actor himself is gigantic. Like, we keep talking about what a big chin he has. The actor actually had, like, a, I don't want to say physical deformity, but, like, he had a birth condition in which he did have a very large head. Like, that's not makeup. That's actually, like, the actual size of his head. He is a huge guy. Or he was. He passed away not that long ago. Yeah, we keep wondering, like, okay, why is he so strong? Why is he able to do this? And it's like, okay, well, we see him surviving all this stuff in prison. That makes sense. But there's moments in which he gets shot multiple times, and they even say it could have been a bulletproof vest. I shot him in the head. Like, it was not a bulletproof vest. there's no explanation in this film of what happened.
It's supposed to be like RoboCop in a way, or just like...
Well, it's like, okay, so what exactly happened was...
Like, did they, like, rebuild him, or,
I always, like, it's weird watching it this time, because it had been, like, 6 or 7 years since the last time I saw it, and in my mind, I remember a moment in which they say that the prison had some new experimental drug that they gave him after they found him barely alive. That's not in here. I made that up. That was my brain just trying to fill something in there. Maybe that's something that happens in the sequels, because there are 3 other films.
Oh, okay.
Although I think in the later films, he is a flat-out zombie. He goes the full Jason. But yeah, it's one of those things where it raises so many questions. Because in this first film, he's not supernatural as far as we know. Like, was the prison cursed? Was there something in the water, like it's the 80s, it could have been some kind of a mutagen in the water, some kind of toxic waste they got exposed to, something. Yeah, there's no explanation for, okay, you survived all the stabbings because you're just a big bad motherfucker. How are you surviving being shot? Something's going on. And in this first film, we don't get answers on that. He's just the juggernaut. That's it. And yeah, Here's the thing, I'm not one of those guys who's like, you have to explain everything about your horror movie. No, sometimes the less you explain, the better. Sometimes the less you explain, the more mythical it makes your monster and the bigger it makes them. But we have seen he is human. We've seen he can bleed. We've seen that a knife can take him down, and it really, like, psychologically messed him up. So why are bullets not affecting him?
You know, it's funny. It's like, just like moments earlier, we were saying, like, this is a turn off your brain kind of movie. And yet here we are trying to set everything. Basically, it is a movie where it's like, if you don't think about it too much, it's fun. Like,
but the moment that you start thinking about it, it's like, hold on.
Wait, I think my B+ has turned into a B-.
Yeah. Exactly. Go into this film, like, you're going to hear, like, I brought up, like, the idea of putting messages in here and making this, like, more political focused in here because it's called Maniac Cop. And I've been saying all this because I wanted to make it clear, like, the film is called Maniac Cop. You're going to go in there expecting them to say something. And they say a few breadcrumbs. They toss a few breadcrumbs here and there. They're just a little for the birds. That's it. And yeah, that's why I've been trying to say, like, okay, don't expect too much from this film. Your brain, naturally hearing the title of this movie, is going to expect some stuff. But you're going to only get a little bit of it, but the film is still enjoyable despite that. You just have to accept the film for what it is. Mm-hmm. You have to accept this is a B horror film that is all about just a maniac cop. That's it. Just a big walking ghoul just walking around New York, just in a police officer uniform. That's what this film is. It tries to be a little bit more than that, and that's about it. But you know what? It's enjoyable despite that. Mm-hmm. I think I have repeated that line so many times now. This is a film which really, I don't have a ton to say about as much as I do the other ones. For somebody who's watched this film so many times, it really is like the turn your brain off, like, yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it's fine. So yeah, anything else that you want to add?
No, not particularly.
Yeah, that's about it. All right, that is it for the first week of Thorgiween. Come back tomorrow for Monday, in which we start our first theme week of Thorgiween this year. We've been talking about a lot of cheesy B horror films from the 80s. We've talked about a few more recent things. Coming up tomorrow for the next week, we are going old school. We are going back to the classic Universal monsters, starting with one that I had never seen up until now, despite everybody telling me it's the best of those classic films. We're talking about The Bride of Frankenstein. See you then, everybody.
Bye.